Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Hi, welcome to the 15th session in our course HRM for non-HR managers. In the previous session, we discussed discipline and grievance management. In this session, we are going to discuss training and development. We will introduce the meaning and nature of training and development and how can we make the employee learning meaningful. We will present analysis of training needs, designing of the training program, evaluation of training effectiveness as major step within the training and development process. The first question we consider is, what is training and development? How can we make the learning meaningful? Dale Beach defined training as the organized procedure by which people learn knowledge and improve skill for a definite purpose. According to Edwin Flippo, training is the act of increasing the knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. As Deshler mentioned, for the employer, investments in training and developing people is a means of attracting and retaining human capital as well as getting better returns from those investments. Training helps to improve the performance and productivity within the organization and increases its flexibility, capacity to innovate, competence and the knowledge. Schuler suggests that the general message is persuasive. Skills, knowledge and competences are key factors in determining whether organizations and nations will prosper. Training is a process that facilitates an employee's learning of skills and knowledge which can help close the gap between the current and expected performance at work. We now move on to the discussion of the process of training. Systematic training is a process which includes steps which are assessment of training needs and determining training objectives, designing training program, implementation of the training program, evaluation of the training program, assessment of the training needs marks the beginning of training and development process. The objectives of the training program depends on how well the needs have been assessed at the organizational group and individual level. The needs are identified typically by ascertaining performance, expectation and actual performance. Performance expectations are determined on the basis of organization's goals and the strategy chosen for achieving those. These are linked to the knowledge, skills, abilities and other characteristics expected of an employee or a group. Next, current performance is evaluated and actual knowledge, skills, attitudes and other characters are assessed. The performance data can be gathered through sources such as employee suggestions, performance appraisal, observation and supervisors' feedback. Next, we discuss the steps in designing the training program. For the specialist in human resource development, designing of training programs is itself a complex process with a number of sub-processes. For the purpose of this course, we will present the sub-processes of training design briefly as 6 steps. The first step in training design is about defining the objectives. Second, develop a lesson plan. Third, develop or acquire training material. Fourth is select trainer. Then comes select methods and techniques. And the last is schedule the program. The objective of a training program is framed in a way that expresses the desired result expected in the end. You would see the connection between this step and the previous exercise of training need identification. The lesson plan is a guide for the trainer which helps plan delivery of the content. A lesson plan contains the list of the content covered, sequencing of activities, selection of training methods, media and exercises, consideration of time and evaluation methods. The lesson plan leads to the decision of whether such a session is best to be designed in-house or by an external expert. This is known as make or buy decision. Consideration of cost and relative evaluation of trainer credentials, background and experience, philosophy and delivery methods are used for selecting an external subject matter expert if the expertise is not available in-house. The training material suitable to the lesson plan and the expert's informed judgment is designed or purchased. Materials may include reading material and other accompanying content, as well as other materials to be used during the training program. Methods of training which optimize the conditions under which desired learning will occur are selected. Finally, the program is scheduled and implemented. We present the alternative training methods next. On-the-job training is provided in the form of direct instructions to the trainees as they perform their actual jobs. Through this method, the employees learn in the actual work conditions and also gets familiar to the working environment. Obviously, training classrooms are not required, saving additional cost. Sales staff, accounts, shop floor workers are among the kind of employees that receive on-the-job training. You have perhaps realized that the risk of loss due to the mistake by the trainee while learning should be low for this method to be relevant. Apprenticeship training is a process by which people become skilled workers, usually through a combination of formal learning and long-term on-the-job training. It traditionally involves having the learners or apprentice study under the guidance of master craftsperson. Under the National Apprenticeship Training Scheme in India, the latest applications, processes and methodologies in their respective fields of work are taught to the participants by some of the most renowned organizations in India. This also acts as transition phase for the school or college students from classroom to a working background. Surveys from the American Society for Training and Development estimated that considerably 80% of what employees learn through informal means, including performing their jobs on a daily basis with their colleagues in the job. Although managers don't manage informal learnings, there's still much they can do to ensure that it occurs. Most of these steps are simple. Job instruction training is a systematic, fast and effective method for teaching employees to do a job correctly and safely. This method of training workers through a simple breakdown of steps is easy to understand and complete. By providing such training for employee could reduce the risk of an injury or death to a worker, prevent costly equipment repairs or avoid lost work time. Lectures are a quick and simple way to present knowledge to large groups of trainees. A lecture can be an effective method for communicating theories, ideas and facts to students. Lecture method is the oldest method of teaching. It is based on the philosophy of idealism. This method refers to the explanation of the topic to the students. The emphasis is on the presentation of the content. The teacher clarifies the content matter to the students by using gestures, simple devices, by changing voice, change in position and facial expressions. This method can be very effective if it is made more interactive and interesting for employee. Programmed learning is a teaching technique in which a learner is presented with a small chunk of information and is asked to answer a question after understanding it. If the answer is correct, the learner may proceed to the next chunk, otherwise go back to the previous piece of information and proceed from there. Programmed learning is based on the principle of small steps, self-pacing and immediate feedback. Programmed learning reduces training time. It also facilitates learning by letting trainees learn at their own pace, get immediate feedback and reduce their risk of error. Let's see example from the book by Tesler. A typical study focused on 40 second year undergraduate students in an organic chemistry 1. Some studied in conventional lecture setting and others used programmed learning. The researchers concluded that the programmed learning could be considered as a better alternative to conventional lecturing in teaching stereochemistry. Intelligent tutoring systems take programmed learning one step further. Additionally to the programmed learning, computerized intelligent teaching system learn what approaches and questions worked or did not work for the learner and accordingly adjust the instructional sequences to the trainee's unique needs. Audiovisual media based training has proven to be a useful tool for so many fronts such as communication, collaboration, long distance conferencing and more. Using audio video as a training tool isn't new. It has been around long enough to become a concrete method for training of a group of employees. The growing use of audio-video training solutions in the corporate world is an example of the digital workplace of the future. The sophistication and complexity that technology has reached enable the training of mobile, in-house and remote employees as well as shown the remarkable improvement in the quality of training. For example, most of the companies in the automobile industry use videos in its dealer training to replicate the problems and the reactions to various customer complaints. Consider using them in the following situations. First, audiovisual can be useful when there is a need to illustrate how to follow a certain sequence over time as to teach machine repair. Second, when there is a need to show trainees events not easily demonstrable in live lectures such as a visual tour of a factory. As per the Business Dictionary, vestibule training is a method of job training where educational facilities approximate real working conditions and are equipped with actual production machinery. In a stereotypical vestibule training situation used by manufacturers, around 10 trainees would be supervised by one trainer and the training provided simulates on the job training. In this type of training, no need to compromise production or the quality. When it is dangerous to train employees on the job, vestibule training becomes necessary. Putting new employees directly to work could slow down the production, for instance, but when safety is concerned, as in case of pilots training, only practical alternatives may be the only solution. Training and development of the employees is an important HR process because it is a source of an organization competitive advantage. The quality of skill the employees acquire through training are key components in deciding the long-term profitability of organization. Organizations that uses online learning as a method can reduce their overhead cost by cutting the expenses incurred in travel, delivery cost, time of an employee and training. Organizations that invest in training their employees can save the cost further through a reduction in employee turnover, employee downtime, the need for supervision, increased staff productivity, etc. There are also a large number of off-the-job techniques for training and developing the employees. Many experts around the world agree that the CASE method is effective. It employs prior reading and study, group discussion and questioning where the trainer serves as a facilitator. Use of this method helps build the trainee's capacity for critical thinking and analysis. It uses questioning skills as modeled by the teacher and employs discussion and debates. It offers an opportunity for exchange and flow of ideas from one person to another and helps achieve trust, respect for diverse ideas and risk taking. It also promotes more effective contextual learning and long term retention. Decisions are mostly based not on absolute values of right and wrong, but on the perspective chosen by the participants. For example, in management development programs, sessions and learning are often based on case method. In a program or course on leadership development, in a case of not so effective leader is presented, the participants are encouraged to put the challenge and opportunities faced by the protagonist. Based on the facts given in the case, the participants are invited to identify the central problem or issue faced by the protagonist. They then analyze what the protagonist does well and where he or she falls short. The subsequent discussion is led by the session expert in the direction of identifying the developmental needs of the protagonist and explore what he or she could have done differently. Discussion of this kind has two advantages. The participants learn the subject in a way that gives them clear understanding of the concept as well as its application, and their approach becomes more focused on decision making. We will be sharing a case study titled Dilip at IHIIPL with you in our online content area. We also invite you to analyze it and discuss your ideas on the online discussion forum. The assignment questions for the case of Dilip are provided in the assignment area. Game-based learning is a method that allows employees to explore the whole game as a form of learning. Games can be designed by education specialists or trainers in a way that balances conceptual knowledge base, its application in an interactive context, and the rules of playing the game. There are numerous skills that students can develop through game playing, such as decision making and problem solving, conflict management, creativity, critical thinking, communication, and other interpersonal skills, and teamwork, just to name a few. Seminars is a form of a scientific approach for the analysis of a topic chosen for discussion. The main objective behind the organizing seminar is to give employee an opportunity to participate in scientific methods of analysis and research procedures. Role-playing method creates a realistic scenario and then have the trainees or employees assume the roles or paths of specific persons in that situation. Each participant gets a role such as head of a crew, workers or employees. Two profiles, consulting with a client and angry customers, are two roles you may wish to use to practice. The aim of this is to develop skills in leadership and delegating. Behavior modeling involves showing employees the right path of doing work, letting trainees practice that way, and then giving feedback on the performance. One of the most widely used is behavior modeling training, highly regarded psychologically and well-researched based training interventions. Executive coaching involves an external consultant who questions the trainee executive's boss, subordinates, peers, and also sometimes family in order to identify the strengths and weaknesses and to counsel the executive so he or she can capitalize on those strengths and overcome the weaknesses. The Society for Human Resource Management encourages HR professionals to qualify for certification by taking examinations. The society offers several preparatory training programs. The next step in the training and development process is evaluation of training effectiveness. This evaluation is necessary for several reasons. For example, has the training delivered the training objective? Have the participants learned? Are they satisfied with the training they received? How do the training cost and benefits balance? How likely are the trainees to behave differently at their jobs after learning at the training program? How likely is the organization to benefit from employees' learning? There are various methods to perform this assessment. As per the Kirkpatrick model, to evaluate the training are: level 1 is reaction, which means the degree to which employee find the training relevant to their jobs, or is it favorable and engaging. In level 2, that is learning, which means the degree to which employees acquire the intended skills, knowledge, confidence, attitude and commitments based on their participation in the training. The level 3 is behavior. In this, employees' behavior is tested when they are back on the job to understand the level, like what they learned during training. Level 4 is results. Finally, the last degree is to check which targeted outcomes has occurred as a result of the training. With this, we are concluding our session. We have discussed the training and development of employees as an important HRM process. See you next week. Thank you.